On this week's show, the Washington Commanders have already made changes to their brand new logo, and the USFL playoffs and championship game are coming to Canton, Ohio.
In honor of Black History Month, this week's history lesson is the story of the man behind the new college football game trophy, George Jewett.
That and much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 237 for February 22nd, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
What a crazy week this is going to be. So it's 2-2-2-2
Right.
on the American calendar. But all this week, it'll be a palindrome. I believe that's what you say. You know what a palindrome is? Where it's the same forwards as backwards.
Oh, yeah.
So every day this week is pretty much going to be, like tomorrow is 2-2-3-2-2, which is the same forwards and backwards.
Well, no, because it would be
Yes.
32 backwards.
No.
Not 23.
Because it'd be the 2-2. you spell it out. You look it up. It makes sense. It's hard to explain over a podcast.
Well, just a few weeks ago, it was 2-2-22.
Yeah,
Now
it's
February 2nd. Now it's
2-2-22.
2-22-20.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems like yesterday I was celebrating 7-7-77.
Oh, jeez.
That was the luckiest day of the century.
Don't date yourself. Don't do it.
Yeah, it just seems like I was just out of high school at that time.
Back when the
what a
wheel
great
was
time.
invented.
It was a little after that.
Oh, a little after that.
We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the USFL and the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show as well as other selected videos. So let's review what happened this past week, and we begin with yours truly and the World of Football scoreboard.
Well, what is this? We've just gone like 20 weeks of me doing the scoreboard. And
Because we always start
it's
with
weird
the pro,
not throwing it over to me.
with the pro stuff. You always do the NFL or whatever, CFL first, and then we go to me. The only thing going on this past week was a college all-star game.
Yes.
I was so surprised because it came out of nowhere last week. I mean, I thought that it had already been played, so I was surprised that it was a week after the Super Bowl. But yeah, last Saturday, it was the HBCU Legacy Bowl in New Orleans. It was Team Gaither beating Team Robinson 22-6. I caught about the fourth quarter of this game.
Yeah, you caught this. I missed it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the game was played at Tulane Stadium. The two teams were named after two legendary HBCU coaches, Jack Gaither from Florida A&M and, of course, Eddie Robinson from Grambling State. This was a real football game.
Yeah?
This was not the two-hand touch that the Pro Bowl was passing off as a football game. No, this was actual football. These guys were playing. They were hitting some great plays that I saw. In fact, I even posted one of them where the quarterback bobbled the snap from center and managed to get a hold of it, and he finally found a guy downfield, and the guy downfield bobbled it and finally got a hold of it before he was tackled for a long completion. So that was a great play. So, yeah, there was some good football played in the HBCU Bowl. Heritage Bowl, and let's see,
Legacy Bowl.
Legacy Bowl. I'm sorry, I lost my place here in my script. But yeah, the teams wore helmets. One team was all dressed in black, one was all dressed in white helmets, black helmets. But they had the HBCU Legacy Bowl logo on the helmets, which was fine. But I think they really missed an opportunity to let these kids wear the helmets from the school that they went to.
Yeah.
I enjoy that in like the Senior Bowl and some of these other bowls. Sure, it's kind of fun to see, oh, look, there's a couple of Michigan players, or there's somebody from Michigan State, or even a Western Michigan guy every now and then. But a lot of people are not familiar with the HBCU schools and their helmets and logos, and I think that would have been great for them to do that and see, oh, wow, that's a cool helmet over there. Oh, look at that one. That's kind of neat. Who was that?
Right.
It would have been fun to see that. But, I mean, I still like the logos and the black and white helmets, but I just think they missed an opportunity to really put their stamp on this bowl by letting them wear the helmets from their own schools.
I didn't see any of this. Did they at least have like a patch or like a logo somewhere on the helmet, like on the back to show
No.
what school they're from?
No, not that I saw anyway. Like I said, I only saw the fourth quarter that day, but as far as I could tell, no, there were no other stickers on the helmets or anything. Let's see. Grambling State, their marching band performed at halftime, and I missed that too.
Yeah, you love the marching band.
I do love the marching bands, and to be able to see Grambling State, I saw a little bit of it. There was a video where they showed them, taking the field, but I would have loved to watch the whole thing, and I missed that. And then at the pregame, they had the St. Augustine Marching 100, which is a high school band from New Orleans that was actually featured on, I believe it was 60 Minutes during the pandemic. How the school tried to keep the band going. They're very popular. Everybody looks forward to them marching in the Mardi Gras parade every year. They're really a great high school marching band from down there, and so they performed at the pregame, and Grambling State performed at halftime. There's also a TV show on right now. I know you haven't seen this, but there's a show called March, and it's like a 4 or 5 episode show that follows Prairie View A&M's band, HBCU school, and their band going through homecoming, and they played a rivalry game against Texas A&M, so they got to go over there and perform. And I think there's 1 or 2 more episodes, but I'm really enjoying that. You were in the band, I was in the band. I loved being in the marching band.
Yeah,
when
marching
I was
band
a kid.
was fun.
So I'm really enjoying this, the marching band and all that. So that's just something else. That's an HBCU school getting some love on TV and their marching band.
I mean, we have great, you and me, memories of marching band, and we have one shared marching band experience together, which I think is special that nobody can take away from both of us. Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, the time where we went to Eastern Michigan, I got to be on the field to march, and you, as a chaperone, had a kidney stone that day, and
Yes.
we thought you'd have to stay in the hospital across the state.
Yeah, I had a kidney stone attack that day while I was in the stands because you had to be there really early before the game to practice and get ready. And so your little brother and I, Aaron, were just hanging out in the stadium, and all of a sudden I started getting the pains, and I knew immediately what it was. And I had a kidney stone attack that day, and luckily I was able to tough it out, and it passed by the pain passed. The kidney stone didn't pass, but the pain passed after a few hours, and we were fine to watch the halftime show and the bus ride home, because that had the potential to be very, very bad.
Because you drove separately from the bus, didn't you?
No, I rode on the bus.
I thought you drove separately because I thought I'd have to drive home because
No, Aaron and I rode on the bus
Oh,
with
okay, I
the
don't remember
band.
that. But I do remember also that next Monday after the performance, we went to band class, and one of the first things was our band director looked at me and said, "How's your dad doing?" And then she's like, "For those of you who don't know, Mr. Snow had a kidney stone
Well,
over."
I had to tell her because there was a possibility I may not make it to the end of the game. So, I wanted her to be aware that there's something going on. And
so 80 pairs of eyeballs turn around in that band room because I'm a percussionist, so I just get to sit in the back of the room. So 80 sets of eyeballs turning around looking at me like, "We didn't know that happened to your dad." It's like, because none of you needed to know. But
I had forgotten about that.
Wasn't marching band great?
Thanks for that painful reminder.
Hey, I love that memory. It didn't hurt me.
But that was at Eastern Michigan University.
Yeah, that was a good night.
Yep. Good time was had by all except me. One other story from the HBCU Legacy Bowl. After the game, there were I watched this on TV. Right after the game, they announced the offensive and defensive players of the game, and all the players are on the field. And normally you see players with their cell phone out. They're taking selfies with their friends and videotaping the celebration after the game and whatnot. There was one guy, I did not catch who this was, and you probably find a video of it somewhere. But one of the guys from one of the teams actually had a camcorder, a big old, not huge, but I mean the kind of thing that I used to use when I took video of you kids when you were little.
Yeah.
But he's doing selfies of himself. He's holding it up and he's looking in the camera and he's videotaping everything. So I don't know where that came from.
I don't know, but everything old is new again. If I've learned anything, records are coming back, camcorders are coming back.
I guess.
I mean, what, parachute pants and
That was
spiky
so
hair
weird.
and puka shell necklaces are probably coming back.
I thought that I had found that video and retweeted it, but I didn't see it. It might be on our Facebook page. I'm not sure, but if I can find it, I will repost it. But that was just so weird and unexpected to see a guy. And the camera kept on him, and I think even the announcers were going, "Has he got a camcorder?" Oh, that was awesome. So anyway, the first ever HBCU Legacy Bowl. They said there were, I think they said 24 or 28 NFL scouts were there.
Oh.
Why weren't all 32 there to watch these players?
Who
There were
knows?
some great plays and some great players. They talk about Walter Payton coming from an HBCU and Jerry Rice coming from an HBCU school, and a lot of others I can't even tell you who they were right now. But
I think the best scout teams will be there. The best scout teams are usually the ones that leave no stone unturned. So
Sure.
you see them wind up in the weirdest places.
Sure.
And by the way, about the guy with the camcorder, real quick, maybe he was taking a film class for all you know. Maybe they were handed camcorders and had to do something for a film class.
That
I'm just
could
going to
be.
throw that out there.
that could very well be.
Or maybe he's just a camcorder enthusiast. I don't know, and I'm not going to shame the guy. I'm not. Here you are bashing him on a
I'm not shaming him. I just thought it was so unusual to see some. I haven't seen anybody use a camcorder since the cell phone camera came out years ago. So it was just very unexpected. It made me smile.
I haven't seen anybody use a digital camera since, well, you, like 2 days ago. So
Well, I do still like my digital camera because
even though you got a brand new stinking
I
iPhone
know,
that
I know, but what I like about the digital camera is it puts the date
Oh my God.
right on the picture, so that when I see the picture,
for that.
well, yeah, but you got to dig for the date on these things on your iPhone and stuff. But this puts the date right on the picture, so that when you're looking at it, you know exactly what day that was. I like that feature.
I know you do, you old phobie.
Well, that's it for the World of Football scoreboard for this week. One game, HBCU Legacy Bowl.
And it'll be
Team
a while
Gaither-
before another game.
Yeah, Team Gaither over Team Robinson, 22-6. All right, so let's move on now to some NFL news.
News.
Yeah, first thing I want to do is offer a correction from last week.
What'd you do?
Last week I talked about the number of players in the Hall of Fame that started out in the USFL because Sam Mills recently got voted in, and I said there were 4. And it was pointed out to me by Ken Crippen of the Football Learning Academy that
Who did some learning to
I
you? He
missed-
gave you some learning.
He did, and I appreciate it. I do. I had never, I'd always known about the other ones.
Way to
but,
put him in his place, Ken.
But this was a new one on me, and I appreciate it. I always want to try and get things right. There are actually 5, unless somebody comes up with a 6th one I don't know about.
Oh, I can't wait.
But you've got Sam Mills just voted in. He played for the Philadelphia Baltimore Stars. Reggie White with the Memphis Showboats, quarterback Jim Kelly of the Houston Gamblers, quarterback Steve Young, and tackle Gary Zimmerman, who played for the LA Express. Gary Zimmerman was the one I was not aware of, but didn't take me long to look him up and say, yep, his first 2 seasons were with the LA Express. So
you always overlook the tackles, man.
yeah, they don't get the love they're supposed to.
Clearly
but
not.
He's in the Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
and
good for him.
his first 2 years were in the USFL with the LA Express. So thank you, Mr. Crippen. I appreciate the keeping me on the straight and narrow. And
That goes double for me.
yeah.
Thanks for keeping Randy on the straight and narrow.
All right, some other NFL news. Defensive back Eric Weddle has retired again after winning the Super Bowl. I guess they brought him out of retirement. He'd been retired for 2 years, I think.
Yep.
And they brought him out of retirement. And so after winning the Super Bowl, he's now retired again, and he's taking the head coaching job at Rancho Bernardo High School in San Diego. Weddle had previously worked as an assistant coach with Rancho Bernardo's 12 and under team.
Yeah, I mean, he was during the game. He was the one defensive back. They talked about him a few times. Had come out of retirement. He's the one who dislocated. I don't know if he dislocated his shoulder, but they were looking at his shoulder, and he had to wear a special wrap. And he couldn't move his shoulder around. But I think he played. Yeah, he was a safety.
Yep, defensive back.
Defensive
safety.
back, safety. Yeah, so he was back there. I forget how long he'd been with the team. It hasn't been very long, but yeah, he came out of retirement for this playoff run with the Rams.
Yep.
So good for him. I mean, you got a Super Bowl ring, and now you can go back and retire.
Yeah, and the best you could do was a high school job? No, that's important.
How dare you?
That's important. Obviously, that's important to him because he was working with these kids before. So a lot of guys, they like to go and be college coaches because they had somebody that was helping them when they were in college
or
in high school, and this is important to him. So congratulations. I think it's great. And they got themselves a Super Bowl winning coach as their high school head coach. So hopefully
Super Bowl winning player as their head coach.
Well, yes, Super Bowl winning player. A guy with a ring.
I mean, a lot of guys have rings. I mean, if they're married or shoot, if they just like expensive Hot Topic jewelry. I mean,
You're going to make my day very long, aren't you? Cincinnati Bengals cornerback Vernon Hargreaves
Hargraves.
III
Yeah.
was fined $5,555. That's a oddly specific amount. By the NFL for running onto the field in street clothes to celebrate a touchdown during the Super Bowl last week.
Yeah, he was on the field longer than Dak Prescott's been on the Super Bowl playing field. I'm here to the end of the day, everybody.
But yeah, he wasn't activated.
No.
He was in the street clothes.
Don't you remember sitting there? We were like, "Wait a minute, is that just a like rando?" Just
We thought it was a fan at first. Some fan running
partying
out
with
of
the
field.
Bengals on the field.
Something are going to come arrest him or throw him on the ground and put handcuffs on him.
That was a
But-
top 5 moment from that Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. But yeah, that came after the who was it? The running back that threw the touchdown pass.
Joe Mixon threw
Yeah.
a touchdown pass.
Yep.
Yeah, what a great play that was.
Yep.
That's also a top 5 Super Bowl
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
Joe
and then,
Mixon's
and then
touchdown
right after
pass.
that, a teammate runs on the field in street clothes.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, he got fined $5,555 for not even being technically on the team.
Right. Well, I mean, he was on the team, but he just wasn't activated for the game.
Right,
So
right.
that makes it extra funny. Like, when's the last time you saw a dude just like, I get it, you're in your sweats on the sideline, cheering on your team, you're there for
yeah.
support. But I mean, I have two minds. Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be running onto the field, but come on, let him celebrate. It's the stinking Super Bowl. As long as security knows he's not a rando dude just running from the stand.
True.
Okay,
let's move on.
hold on. You have one last story we added at the last minute.
Oh, did we? That's right.
Yep. Yeah, I got it right there for you.
Oh, the Washington Commanders have had to change the years on their crest logo. There was some discrepancy about.
I think a lot of people. Well, I think what it was fans were pointing out like, what these years don't make any sense because normally, and at least with the NFL, the years and a lot of merchandise reflect the season that played before. Not because what was it like? The crest had said like 1992 Super Bowl champion.
I forget, but this year, the Super Bowl was played in February of 2022, but it's the 2021 championship because it's the end of the season.
But
so
on
that's
their
where
logo,
the
it was like saying the 1992 champs, and then it was always like the year they technically won the Super Bowl, but it wasn't for that season. So a lot of fans were like,
it was when the Super Bowl was played, but not for
people
the
were
season
confused. So I guess the team abided and tweaked the years on the crest, at least for the Super Bowl years, saying, okay, so it's, instead of saying 1992, it says 1991, or instead of 1988, it says 1987, or whatever the rest of the crest says. But
Can
I
the
just think it's
Commanders
so
do
funny.
anything right?
No, they cannot.
Oh my gosh!
People are hating.
This looks so bad for the Washington
People are hating
team.
on them. Okay, this I don't mind. Like it was a change that they were like, oh, okay, like we thought we were doing this for this reason, but okay, we'll change it. We understand what everybody's saying now. One, your marketing team should have figured that out, or whoever was putting this together for 2 years. But whatever. This
they're
one I don't.
unpaid interns that are 18 years old.
This one I don't mind. I mean, a lot of people are pushing back on the name a little bit. Whatever. I think the name will be fine too in the long run.
Yeah.
And but the uniforms, that's the one gripe. I know I'm a weird uniform junkie. The uniforms are the one thing I can't wrap my head around because I've seen so many. There's great people on Twitter to follow who do mock-ups of jerseys and like custom jerseys, which look 1,000 times better than what these teams come up with half the time. I've seen so many great Washington Commander concepts, keeping the helmet the same, but like just tweaking the uniform enough to like be like, wow, it's so simple, yet I think perfect for what the Washington Commanders football team, should wear.
Yeah, just a simple little stripe, either down the leg or on the shoulders or on the helmet, makes a big difference.
It's weird, like but it's just my big thing was always the inconsistency between their three uniforms. Like, all right, you want to have a black jersey with a black helmet, that's cool, but there's no consistency across the three. Like, there's no I'll use the Lions as an example. They at least got the stripes on the shoulders, or the arms, that kind of go back and forth between all the uniforms. So you're like, okay, or the Broncos. Think of the Denver Broncos. They have that one stripe that comes up the side. All that changes is the colors kind of change between uniforms, but there's a consistency there. The Washington is like each uniform is like a part of a whole separate uniform. They're like, well, let's do this kind. Well, then for the away uniforms, let's use this kind. And for the black uniforms, let's do this. Like, what? Like, there's just no level of consistency. I could see what like the black jersey being the most different, but just the inconsistency between home and away really, bugs me as a uniform. I won't say purist, but like I'm an enthusiast of uniforms and helmets and stuff.
Okay, enough on that.
All right, I'm off my soapbox on that.
Okay, let's move on to some college news. Jim Harbaugh has agreed to a contract extension through 2026 after not getting the Minnesota Vikings job. Boy, he really had to backtrack on that.
Boy, what a weird situation
Put his
that
tail
was.
between his legs and go back to Michigan and say, well, I guess I'm back, and, well, we'll give you an extension so that...
I think a contract extension means, hi, welcome to college football, where contract
Yeah.
extensions and
Well, they
contracts
probably-
mean nothing.
They probably were going to do that anyway since he got him into the playoffs this year.
Well,
But yeah.
maybe, but I don't know. I think keeping him is the right thing to do, but I think never. I don't know. I don't read too much into the contract extension because he could leave next year for all we know.
Well,
he could leave in 2 weeks. Something crazy could happen. He could leave 2 weeks from now.
But if he doesn't beat Ohio State for the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to be gone anyway because that's all they care about. At
Hey,
Michigan
they got
is
one.
beating
That's
Ohio
all they
State.
care about. They got one.
Well, yeah, but that's not enough.
I know it's not.
So we'll see how he does in the next year or so. We'll see how fans react to him this fall when they take the field again.
Hey, winning cures everything, and he did a lot of
Absolutely.
winning last year, and he
Absolutely,
got him to that playoff.
Yep.
And speaking of playoffs,
Playoffs? The 4-team college football playoff format will continue until after the 2025 season when the current contract expires. The playoff management committee could not agree on how to implement a 12-team format. And we talked about this back in just before the national championship game,
Right.
that they couldn't agree on it. So now they're not gonna do anything until after the current contract expires, after the 2025 season. So beginning with the 2026 season, you could see a 12-team playoff at that time if they can get their act together.
we'll see.
There's
I
no
think
guarantee on that either.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's what everybody wants. I think
Yes.
as fine as a 4-team playoff is, I think they're seeing the dollar signs. Like they know there's money in a 12-team
Right.
playoff.
Well, I thought they would at least go to an 8-team playoff,
Right,
for a few
gradually
years,
work their way
and
up
then work
there.
their way up to a 12-team playoff. But yes, but an 8-team playoff would have given them at least all 5 Power 5 conferences would definitely get an automatic bid. You win your conference, and you're in. So that's only 3 other teams that would be that they'd have to say, well, who are the other 3 going to be? Well, we'll take this one, this one, this one,
Right.
and we'll match them up like this. Playoffs go.
Randy, if only it was that simple, poor boy.
The college football committees don't want it to be that simple. They want to have their hands in it. They want to handpick the teams that are going, and it's still going to be an invitational. We are inviting these teams to
Right.
be in
It
our
is.
playoff.
The playoff is a glorified invitational, which is unfortunate. But, I think college football has got some of the best regular season ever in football.
Yes.
A messy, at best, postseason. But then the NFL, I think the NFL can have an iffy regular season. But I think the way they at least structure their playoffs, while sometimes it can be unfair, sometimes you get a weird 7-9 team, or I guess now it would be a 8-9 team or whatever, getting into a playoff spot. That's really rare for it to happen. But there's at least a set of criteria. You do this, you win your division. You win your division, you get a home playoff game. At least there's a structure to it. The college football playoff is kind of like, oh, well, you beat this team, but since you lost to that team, but then that team beat that, it's all that weird, just eye test stuff.
There should not be a committee involved. They don't need a committee to tell us who's going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
It should all be determined by you win your
computer.
conference, you go.
A bowl championship system should be implemented to pick the best teams.
And whoever's left, those last 3 in an 8-game playoff anyway, probably would have been determined by their rankings in the AP poll. So
I wouldn't even trust an AP poll.
well, but whatever.
I think
there's
there
got to
should
be
just,
something
like I said,
else.
there's got to be a set. They do it for their conference. All the conferences have an in-conference. Like, all right, you win this many games in your conference, you play your conference championship game, you win, you get the trophy. Pretty simple, right? Then that team should, if you get a trophy, you get an automatic bid to a college football playoff. That's how it should be. But because, what was it? One year we saw a team win a Big Ten title, didn't even get invited. The team that didn't even make it to the Big Ten title from the Big Ten got invited to come play.
Because that's who they wanted in.
Oh, well, Penn State, congratulations on winning the Big Ten championship. But you back there, Ohio State, you come instead.
Yeah.
You come instead, Ohio State.
And I think the big sticking point is probably independent teams like Notre Dame. How do you fit them in? How do you decide when Notre Dame's going to be
Or
qualify for the playoffs?
Is that where they put their foot in the sand and say, you independent schools, unless you have a great undefeated season and beat some teams, we're going to leave you out.
Yeah.
So until you join a conference,
And
is
force
that
them to be in a conference.
right? That's going to be the interesting.
The independent conference.
thing. There you go.
I don't know. I don't have the answer for it, but
I don't think anybody does right now.
But yeah, and obviously they don't either.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Moving on, got some USFL news. The playoffs and the championship game are going to be played at Tom Benson Stadium in Canton, Ohio, right down the road, 4 hours here from us, beginning on June 25th. This is due to a scheduling conflict in Birmingham.
And this could not have worked out better for us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I saw that.
We have been talking about possibly going, because the schedule isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for the schedule to come out, and I want to, I said we want to go down to Birmingham and see a Michigan Panthers game, maybe against the Generals.
I know, you really want to.
I saw both those teams.
You want Panthers
83.
Generals real bad.
Yeah, but I'm not opposed to going down to Birmingham.
Would you wear Generals stuff or would you wear Michigan Panthers stuff?
Well, I'm not going to wear the new Michigan Panthers stuff because I don't like that. But we will see. And but now we don't have to go down there if we don't want to, because we can go to the playoffs. Well, I don't know if all the teams are going to be involved in the playoffs. If it's going to be just the top 4, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm definitely looking at going to Canton, Ohio to check out a game there.
Hey, I think regardless, I would be down to at least attend the championship game.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I think that could be a lot of fun. But hopefully that does. I kind of want to go to Birmingham too, but we'll see what happens.
Well, the World Football League trophy is actually in the Birmingham Sports Museum or something down there, which is, I guess, right next to the stadium, Legion Field, or very close to it. So I would love to go get a picture of that. I mean, I've gotten my picture taken with the USFL trophy that's in the Hall of Fame, and the Super Bowl trophy,
with the Super Bowl trophy,
Arena
the
Bowl
Grey
trophy.
Cup trophy.
Yep. So yeah, I want to get my picture taken with the World Football League trophy. It's in the museum.
Closest you'll ever be to being a champion in all these leagues, Randy.
Well, yeah, it's like it's like the graves I go to visit. The World Football League's not around anymore.
I'm standing right on top of Newt Rockne, for crying out loud. This is the closest I've ever been to Newt Rockne.
Yeah. Where was I?
The player draft.
Oh, yeah. And the USFL player draft is actually going on tonight, starting at 7 p.m. They're going to pick 280 players over 35 rounds. 35 rounds, wow. The Michigan Panthers have the first pick, followed by Tampa Bay, then Philadelphia, New Jersey, Houston, Birmingham, Pittsburgh, and in the number 8 spot, New Orleans. From what I was reading, and I reposted this on our Twitter feed, they had some criteria for the draft tonight. Evidently, there are no trading of picks allowed. You can't move up, a couple of spots and you can give somebody else this or that. No, you pick where you're supposed to be, and that's it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They've got a bunch of other rules, and you can look on our Twitter feed and find that. But interestingly, round 1, all 8 teams are going to pick a quarterback. So that's going to be, hopefully their starting quarterback. Rounds 2 through 4 are designated for defensive ends, and each round is set up for something. I'm not going to read them all here, but round 12, they get to pick a second quarterback. Round 13 through 17 is where they're going to get their wide receivers. Rounds 27 and 28 is for...
Boy, awfully sounds like you're going through every single round now.
No.
You said you weren't gonna.
No, rounds 27 and 28 are for running backs and fullbacks. Round 32 for kickers. Round 33 for punters. And round 35, your long snappers. So every round is a different position or 2 positions. So I think that's interesting. That's something I've never seen before. And so that's all going on tonight. And there's also going to be a 10-round supplemental draft on March 10th, where they're going to select an additional 80 players. So, and there's some rules about, if the clock runs out on you, you don't get your pick, and I guess you can forego a pick and pick up a supplemental draft pick later, or an extra pick or something. I don't know. It's a little confusing, but like I said, I retweeted a lot of these on our Twitter feed, so go check those out. There is going to be some live coverage tonight on YouTube. There's a channel called USFL Podcast, so they're going to be covering it live. In fact, I went there a little while ago, and they said 3 hours until we start broadcasting live. So if you really want to see where your team or where your favorite player is going to go, There you go. There's your answer.
Yep.
If you're looking, if you got a defensive end, wait for rounds 2 through 4. And the USFL team uniforms and helmets were unveiled last week.
Yes, finally. We've been waiting.
Yep, they finally showed up. Some good ones and bad ones, and we're not going to get into it right now because I think we're going to do a video on this.
Yeah, we'll do a video on them. I mean, this is a podcast format. It's audio, so it's hard to talk about a lot of these great visuals or not so great visuals.
You want to see these helmets. You want to see the uniforms, and so we're going to talk about which ones are good, which ones are not so good.
Yes,
and,
it'll be part of a programming slate we're going to try to come out with, but because, I guess we'll get into it at the end of the show. Why we're going to be
this is going to be one of our overtime episodes.
Yes,
for USFL uniforms that just got released. So be looking for that in the next couple of days and see what we think about the new USFL uniforms.
Yep.
All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube.
Nope. You're skipping some big XFL news.
Oh, I did skip over the XFL, didn't I? Okay. The XFL and the NFL have entered into a partnership agreement in regards to game innovation opportunities to advance the game of football as well as player development.
Yes.
That's a big mouthful, and I guess basically the way I take it is that the XFL is going to be a test league for the NFL to try out different rules, I guess different playing surfaces. I saw that. I don't know what that all means. But yeah, if the NFL
giving some referees, I think, some experience.
Yeah, I guess give them some referees to work on the games, and but I think that's kind of what the NFL has always done. They'll see somebody else using a rule or an innovation. They stole the Skycam from the original XFL in 2001. They said, "Oh, that's great," and as soon as they were done, they appropriated it and been using it ever since. So yeah, they're going to use the XFL to try out, maybe some different rules.
They took the rule from the AAF about the 4th and 15 onside kick thing. They just used that in the Pro Bowl last year. So they're always taking stuff, cherry picking.
They're going to find out what works and what doesn't, and they just may vote on something in the future to say, well, look, the XFL did this, and here's all these different replays we can show you of when it works and when it doesn't, and maybe we should adopt that and go from there. So yeah. But that just came out yesterday too.
Yeah, it was big.
I posted a thing where Dwayne Johnson was making a little, it was like a 1 minute.
What a businessman that dude is, man!
About this opportunity with the NFL. So, that's interesting. We'll see how that works out. Okay, now Arena Football TV on YouTube. The game that they posted just a couple days ago was from the 2006 season, the Austin Wranglers at the Dallas Desperados. This was a Week 4 game where both teams were 3-0 going into the game, and our favorite quarterback, Clint Dolezal, was the quarterback of the Dallas Desperados.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check that out.
Good old Clint, good old Texas boy.
Well, yeah, that's where he lives, so it's not like he had to go from Texas down up to Grand Rapids to win an Arena Bowl.
Right.
But yeah, he was with the Dallas Desperados late in his career before he went into coaching Philadelphia Soul for many years. Okay, anything else that I missed or anything that's come up while we were talking?
Nope, we're good for now. Let's get into these obituaries.
Okay, we do have a couple of obituaries today. This is where we take a moment and honor those who have made the world of football a better place. First obituary is a big one. Charlie Taylor, who played running back and wide receiver in the NFL for 13 seasons, has passed away at the age of 80. Taylor played college football at Arizona State and was selected with the 3rd overall pick in the 1964 NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins. He started out as a running back, but after 2 seasons, he was switched to wide receiver. Taylor played in the NFL from 1964 to 1977, all with Washington. He missed the 1976 season due to a knee injury. When he retired, he was the NFL's all-time leader in receptions. Not bad for a guy that played his first 2 years as a running back. Taylor was also the receivers coach for the Washington Redskins from 1981 to 1993 and helped the team win 3 Super Bowls. Taylor is a member of the team's Ring of Honor and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1984.
Our last obituary today is that of Clarence Pooh Bear Williams, a running back in college and in the NFL, and has passed away by a car crash at the age of 47. Williams played college football at Florida State and won a national championship with the team in 1993 during his freshman season. He was not selected in the NFL draft, but signed with the Buffalo Bills, where he appeared in 3 games during the 1998 season. In recent years, he was an assistant coach at his old high school, Crescent City High School in Crescent City, Florida.
All right, and we do have a birthday today for February 22nd. Linebacker Khalil Mack turns 31 years old today. He played his college football at the University of Buffalo and was the 5th overall pick in the 2014 NFL Draft by the Oakland Raiders. He played for the Raiders from 2014 to 2017, and from 2018 until last season, he was with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
And man, that guy is scary good.
He's a scary good dude.
Detroit gets to play him twice a year, and man, I hate that.
I just don't. Man, I can't believe he's 31. It doesn't feel like he's been in the league that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, that dude is a specimen. I know we're Lions fans, and we don't really have a lot of good things to say about the Bears, Packers, or Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
But Khalil Mack's a scary dude, and yeah, I hate playing him.
Yep.
Because he's too good.
You got to know where he is at all times.
Yep, that dude was at one game, he wrecked shop. We were in Chicago, he wrecked shop. So that dude is worth every penny for that Bears team. It's just too bad that they haven't been able to do anything with him.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Now let's go on to our history lesson this week. This is the last of our 4 Black History Month inspired history lessons this week, and we're going to talk about the man behind the new college trophy by the name of George Jewett. You may not be familiar with the name George Jewett, but thanks to a couple of Big Ten Conference schools and a new football rivalry trophy, that is all about to change. George Henry Jewett was the son of a blacksmith and grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He was the valedictorian of his high school class at Ann Arbor Pioneer, which is today called Ann Arbor High School. He was an outstanding high school athlete as well, participating in football, baseball, and track. Jewett enrolled at the University of Michigan to study medicine, but he also played football for the Wolverines in 1890 and 1892, becoming the first African American to play at the school. Jewett was a fullback, halfback, and a kicker. However, after 2 years at Michigan, he was informed by the dean of the medical school, Victor Vaughn, that he could not play football and attend the medical school at the same time. In 1893, Jewett enrolled at Northwestern University in order to finish his medical degree. He also played football for the Wildcats in 1893 and 1894, becoming the first black player at Northwestern as well. He earned his medical degree, became a doctor, and set up a practice in Chicago. In 1899, he returned to Ann Arbor and briefly tried his hand at coaching college football, first at Michigan State, which was known as Michigan Agricultural College at the time, and then at Olivet College. He also owned a dry cleaning business in Ann Arbor. Sadly, George Jewett died suddenly of heart disease in 1908 at the age of just 38. He is buried in the Forest Hills Cemetery in Ann Arbor, along with other U of M luminaries like Bo Schembechler and Fielding Yost. Jewett left behind a wife and 2 young sons. Both Michigan and Northwestern wanted to honor the legacy of Dr. George Jewett for being the first black player at both schools and to keep his legacy alive. So they decided to create a football rivalry trophy between the 2 schools in his name. The first game that featured the George Jewett Trophy was played on October 23, 2021. It was played at the Big House in Ann Arbor, and the Wolverines won the game 33-7, improving their record to 7-0 on the season. Dr. George Jewett's groundbreaking contributions at both Big Ten schools will now live on forever. As long as the 2 schools continue to meet on the gridiron, the George Jewett Trophy will be on the line and bring awareness to his story to a new generation of fans.
It just stinks that Black History Month is so short because, I mean, you come up with these great, stories that I don't think a lot of people know about.
There's a lot of stories. I mean, I've been doing a history lesson on this podcast for 237 episodes
Straight
now.
Weeks.
And there are times when it's hard to come up with a new, interesting, relevant history lesson, but it seems like every year for Black History Month, there's a plethora of stories out there,
Yeah.
and I never have any problem finding. In fact, I've already got my 4 set up for next year.
Oh, geez, why?
Because I'm hearing things through Black History Month this month, and so I've already got stories for next year that I'm lining up. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad we're looking that far ahead because up next is your upcoming events calendar.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. Today and tomorrow, the USFL player selection meeting
Yeah.
is going to be taking place. Let's see. March 1st through the 7th, it's the NFL Scouting Combine.
AKA the Underwear Olympics.
Yeah, there was some controversy. That was another story I was going to mention. I forgot all about it. That some of the agents for these players don't like the fact that they want to use a bubble system. Get them in there and not let them out. And so they're talking about boycotting the
Combine.
the combine. Yeah. And so I don't know what's going to happen.
So I hadn't heard this. You were telling me about it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's weird. I didn't even know they were doing a bubble thing.
I didn't either, but I guess a lot of the agents that represent these guys are not happy about it. And so if they don't participate, all they can do is basically go in and do physicals, and that's all that they would be participating in. There would be no drills or anything like that. So they're trying to get the NFL to not have a bubble set up for their players. So I don't know. The COVID seems to be going away, but you don't want to take a chance. Who knows? That's not my call. All right, March 12th, the Indoor Football League season begins, along with Champions Indoor Football. Their season also begins on March 12th. March 21st, the USFL training camps open. Saturday, April 16th, the USFL season begins in Birmingham with a game between the Baltimore Stallions and the New Jersey Generals. Let's see, Saturday, April 23rd, the National Arena League season begins. And Thursday, April 28th through the 30th, it's the NFL Draft in Las Vegas. Just goes to show you, like we always say, there is no off-season in football. There's always something going on. And that's why we're here. Yeah. Every week there's something to talk about. But we've got a little announcement to make today.
Oh, boy, a little announcement.
Do we want to do this now or do it in the order that I had it written up?
It's up to you. What do you do? It's your show.
Let's just do it now. In the coming weeks, we're going to be doing something that we've never done before on this podcast. We're actually going to be taking a break from our weekly podcast. For nearly 5 years and 237 consecutive weeks, we've done an episode.
Yeah.
And we're going to be taking some time off to regroup and retool our podcast. We're going to change our little studio around here, which doesn't affect you guys, but we've got some other projects going on. So this just seems like a good time. The Super Bowl is over. There's kind of a lull between.
Yeah, for the first time in a while, because usually we had the AAF pick up the week after the Super Bowl.
One season rolled right into another, but this year there is kind of a lull for the next couple of weeks. Even though, like I just said, we've got the
Indoor Football League coming back.
Yeah, we've got the Combine coming up. You've got the USFL Draft tonight. You've got USFL season begins. We're just going to be taking a couple of weeks off.
Yeah.
We want to see what we can do better on this podcast. Rearrange some things. Maybe do things a little bit differently. So we'll see. But we are going to take a couple of weeks off. We're going to continue to post things on Twitter and Facebook. As we find things, we're going to retweet them out to everybody so that you can still keep up with what's going on. That's not going to change at all. But we're just going to take some time off and take a breather for the first time in 5 years. So we started this in August of 2017, and we've not missed a week yet. And you've always joked, I want a break. When can I not have to get time off? Yes, well, this is it. This is it. We're going to take a little time off and hopefully come back with an even better podcast in a couple weeks.
I don't know about that, but I think
it's already good.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be fine to take a step back. Focus on some other things for a couple weeks. I mean, you've got some stuff you've been working on that you want to get taken care of. I know I've got some other projects I'm working on, and so it'll be nice to just, hey, there's really nothing going on. Why stretch, a podcast out when there's not really much going on? I mean, I'm sure we'll miss some big news items. We might cover certain things on YouTube, but I mean,
normally we do like an hour here for our podcast, and I think last year there was some downtime, and I think we had one that was less than 25 minutes.
Did we?
of a
I don't
podcast.
remember.
Oh man, we just zipped through that because there was nothing going
Yeah.
on. But I mean, there was a few things. So this just seems like a good time to take a little break and just get some rest and get re-energized.
Just a nice 2 or 3 week break. We'll see. I'm sure we'll make a big announcement when, hey, this upcoming Tuesday, get ready for your ears.
Yeah, we're still going to be on broadcasting on Tuesdays. But, I mean, if something earth-shaking happens, we'll come out with a podcast to talk about it. But otherwise,
Or if a bunch of stuff just pile up and we're like, maybe we should do a podcast.
Yeah. But, we'll be back in time for the CFL season because I'm really looking forward to that.
More than enough time for that. Like you said, it's only a couple of weeks. We'll be hopefully back in time for the national or the indoor football season.
Yeah,
Champions
and the
Indoor Football
USFL. Things are coming up, but this is a good time right now. The month of March is really kind of going to be kind of slow.
Yeah, I got to fit in more a bunch of screenings of the Batman in the beginning of March.
I'm way behind on my reading too. I'm reading a book right now about the Lions, and I got so many books on my bookshelf that I've accumulated, but I have not really read them.
And that's the other thing. You're adding a whole other bookshelf in here. You're trying to
I got
reorganize
two
some
bookshelves.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to rearrange everything to bring another bookshelf in here and just make a wall of books here in the man cave and get everything in one place. So it's my research library. If I'm looking for something, I just go to the book and look it up. Okay.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, well, I guess we'll do our normal bit and get out of here.
All right. That's all we've got time for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, and highlights from all over the world of football. You can also follow our Twitter, which is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so please head over there, give us a like on some videos, subscribe to the channel for updates, and click that little bell thing to get notified when we have new videos coming up. And of course, we appreciate any comments and feedback to help us make things better, because that's all we're trying to do. It's a learning thing for us, and we're trying to improve everything. So let us know what you think. Please come be a part of the football conversation. And I did want to throw out there, I will be on another podcast this actual upcoming week.
That's right.
Not a football podcast. I'm sure we will talk football, but I will be over on a podcast called Straight Outta Gotham, a geekily weekly news podcast. Some fellas that I know through one of my fantasy football leagues. They hit me up. I've been doing my movie YouTube channel, So they hit me up saying, would you be interested in being one of our guests this month? They're doing a whole guest month where they're bringing in people they've never had on their show to be on their podcast. And I was one of their invitees, and I was very flattered. So I'll be on there this weekend.
One and done, huh?
We'll see. I got nervous. I was almost gonna turn him down, but I was like, it could be fun. It is weird. Like, I've done 237 podcasts in a row with you. I am a little nervous about being on somebody else's podcast, so I can't be all rogue and not going by the script with you. So
yeah. Well, we've done more than 237 because we did some side projects, the book reviews and stuff that we'll
see. If you want to listen to that, I'm sure I'll post that on my social medias. I'm sure the World of Football might even retweet that.
Possibly.
I was gonna say you could fit this time in to be on somebody else's podcast too. Go hit up the Beyond the 55 guys. You could be over there. Shoot, if you guys want me on over on the Beyond, I mean, you were already on that show. I'd love to come on there and just spill some dirt on Randy.
Maybe I was another one and done with them. I don't know.
Oh yeah, they haven't called you back. Greg does not like you.
Mom always liked you best.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody loves more football than we do. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you soon.
You're going to miss this, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah.